Decai's wife fled in the middle of the night, unable to bear the grief of a miscarriage caused by a fall earlier that day. Desperate to have another child, she insisted on finding Lao Si. Concerned, Raisin took their 2 children and searched for her all night, fearing she might become pregnant again. Meanwhile, the master called Decai's wife, urging her to find another Lao Si. To coax her back, Decai's uncle slaughtered a chicken, and she eventually agreed to return home for the meal. Since Lao Si was still absent, a photographer invited a Chinese man to his home. Strangely, Decai's wife asked him to visit every day. Wu Dalong then sent the children out, instructing them to herd sheep in the fields and not return home. This left Decai's wife alone to entertain the Chinese guest. Enraged, Uncle Decai wept under his quilt, while his son came to check on him. The situation felt worse than murder. But in this household, Uncle Decai, like Wu Dalong, had no real status. Decai's wife went out in the rain to catch frogs, hoping to prepare a nourishing meal for the Chinese guest. Imagining his 8-pack abs, she laughed so hard her face nearly split. Normally, she never engaged in such dirty work. Those tasks were always left to Uncle Decai, who crafted bamboo baskets and handled manual labor. But this was her first time catching frogs, and despite her clumsiness, she managed to collect dozens. Returning home, she began preparing the frogs, throwing them to the ground to kill them before cooking. Alongside the fresh frogs, she also used smoked wooden milk frogs, preserved as special New Year's goods for the guest from Chongqing. Meanwhile, Uncle Decai tirelessly worked on the farm, as if he were the village chief's donkey. When the meal was ready, the family gathered to eat. The Chinese guests thoroughly enjoyed the nutrient-rich dish. Afterward, Uncle Decai and his son were sent to the mountains to herd sheep, while the Chinese guest remained with Decai's wife until evening. Only then were Uncle Decai and his son allowed to return home. Do you think the Chinese guest will stay? With the new year approaching, if you're planning to drive home, don't forget to check out Guazi for great deals.